Here. My name is Cody Anderson, and I am joined by Jordan Vogel, and we are both part of Good Rep Media. Good Rep Media, if you don't know, is a small business marketing agency. I'm going to do a little highlight here for you. Goodrep.media. It's our website. But we help small businesses rank better on Google. We help small businesses with their online presence. If you own a small business, if you know someone who owns a small business, if you are ever interested in starting your own small business, we are the people who help you with that type of thing. Now, we're not talking about small businesses today. We're jumping here on the Joey Matterhorn channel, talking about how trying new things outside of just work improves your focus and confidence in the job. A little bit of a wordy title there, but you want to simplify that for us, Jordan?
How does everyday life apply to your job?
Pretty much. You're going to face challenges when when you go to a restaurant, you order and they get it wrong and you don't explode and start yelling. How do you deal with that?
I
Disappointment
dock
and
their tips,
frustration.
Cody. That's what I did.
You start throwing plates.
Yeah, smashing
Uh,
shit.
Anyways, but yeah, so both of us, I know, have been getting a lot more involved in passions outside of work and bringing those kind of passions back into work, specifically in like improv, Dungeons and Dragons, and things like that. And so I wanted to have a little bit of an opportunity for us to talk about all of those things we do outside of work that we think we improve on. Like, hey, we do all of these outside things so that we can bring it back to work on top of, actually resetting your mental.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think that should be a relatively interesting topic.
yeah. So we talk on improv, we talk on D&D. What else do you feel like you do outside of work other than those two things that like you think kind of influence you in your work life the most?
Yeah. So I think the number one thing to get across is that when you my overall philosophy in life is subscribe to being human. Part of the human condition is being passionate and being involved in different things in everyday life. So for example, we've talked about everyone wants a village but no one wants to be a villager. We've talked about this idea of like get involved in your communities. um Doing that is what builds you up and builds those bridges and new pathways in your mind to improve yourself. And if you are going about things wishy-washy, if you're not really trying or getting involved, if you're not approaching things with any type of passion, it's kind of hard to become interesting. One of the things in improv that I think was mentioned really early on was that people who are good at improv, people who are good at this type of thing, generally lead very interesting lives. So they're weird and they do weird things. They have weird passions, and I think that holds really true.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I think the more out there you can be kind of breeds a little bit of creativity.
Mhm.
Kind of breeds a little bit of what's the word I want to say? Just like ability to think outside the box. And I think that is one of the more valuable skills that you can apply to just about anything in your life, especially the workplace.
Yeah. And so like I talk about Joe Joe Delfgau. We're on the Joey Matterhorn podcast here. We're on the Joey Matterhorn channel, so we're talking about kind of side hustles and passions and things like that. A lot of people who are in the side hustle industry seem to have a lot of passion for their side hustles, and that's kind of all they do. I'm thinking of I just talked to a guy named Jeff Duyan who does a thing called Smart Flippers. It's a course that he teaches. It's an online like lifestyle where he almost basically lives a flipping lifestyle. He flips things on Facebook Marketplace. He has buy and sell lists of a bunch of different items. He has a bunch of different connections, and he lives buying and selling. Flipping is his passion. Um,
That's flipping
what
crazy.
it is flipping crazy. Now, mind you, when that's your passion and that's all you do, um, I feel like you're a little bit one trick. You might find it difficult to branch out and find new things to flip.
So
No.
that seems like flipping is such a broad thing that it's like you may be one trick if all you can do is flip retail arbitrage or something like
Mm,
that, or flip cell phones. And like, yeah, you may run into an issue there where all of a sudden those things aren't flipping as well. But
right.
like, you can flip so many things in the world that it's like, I don't know that I consider that to be one trick because once you break it down into subcategories, then those become individual tricks, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's so he specifically talking about you mentioned phone flipping, and there's a bunch of different courses that I think he offers where it's phone flipping, couch flipping, weights flipping. Um there's a bunch of different things that you could obviously flip, but it all comes back to this idea of like flipping, which I'm here for. Now, one of the things that we've mentioned before is card flipping,
Hmm.
TCG, Pokemon, scalping, and things like that. Having a passion in TCGs and collectible items and bringing that into flipping, I think, is really interesting. So, if you're going to be a flipper, do you think you need to have passion in all of the things you're
No,
flipping?
I think it should be the other way around. I think you should almost have no passion towards the things you're flipping because that's going to make it easier to flip. You're going to pull yourself a first edition Charizard at some point, and you're going to be like, "This is the most expensive card I've ever gotten. I don't want to sell this." You
Yeah.
know, like because you have a passion towards it. Whereas if you can be cold and calculating towards the things you're flipping, then all of a sudden all you have are profit. You know, like it doesn't become a, oh, I think I want to keep this or anything like that.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, but at the same time, I feel like so I'm gonna speak from experience here, especially with card scalpers and flippers and stuff like that. I have a passion for Pokemon and collecting and cards and things like that. So I know generally what is valuable, why it's valuable, and I'm a much better predictor at markets and where they're going. And I'm very basic. I think that there are people with much more financial knowledge than I do that can be like, hey, so here's the history of this card, the rising and falling of the like actual stock of the card and stuff like that. You can get very deep into flipping and buying and selling just cards. And so there's that level of it's not a passion, I'm just doing it to flip, and that's when you go to Target and you buy a box and you try to sell it on Marketplace, and I think that's one level. But I think there's another level there where if you're really interested and you really know a topic, you can do a whole lot more with it, and that passion I think is really useful. Now, that's all related to work. I think if you're a flipper and you have a passion for, basketball outside of that, you're going to start flipping basketball cards and you're going to flip basketball paraphernalia and memorabilia because you know that industry a lot more. So your passion
Yeah,
almost informs what you flip.
I do get that as well. Like if you care enough about the products, you can probably see trends in it that you wouldn't be able to see if you didn't care about the product or have a passion in it.
Mhm.
So I can see there's pros and cons to both sides of it, you
Yeah.
know. And I think ultimately, if you can still maintain that kind of cold, calculated mindset of like, oh yeah, I really do want this, but also like I'm gonna make a lot of money off of it, and you care more about making the money off of it, then you will benefit from having a passion towards the things nonetheless, because then you can still sell them without having that remorse behind selling it, you know?
Yeah. I think I mentioned it before, but my my girlfriend's father has a history of wanting to refurbish cars, but he is
Mhm.
very much oh, once I've got the car, now I
Now I
own it
want
and
the
I like
car.
it. He doesn't want to sell
Exactly.
it.
Exactly my point. Precisely my point.
So
And, like,
sometimes your
I think
passion is a detriment.
I talked to you about, like, those, like, when the Pokemon Legos were coming out and you were thinking about getting them, and I was like, "What happens if those, like, become, like, worth, like they're $600? What happens if they become worth 2,000?" You're like, "Still don't think I'd sell them." And I'm like, "That's crazy, bro. Sell them and buy new ones."
Which I that's 100% fair, and that's a different mindset because I will 100% admit that I have much more of a passion for the collecting than I have for the money-making aspect.
I mean, but you're not doing it to make money off of it. Like
Exactly.
you aren't in the flipping space. But like I'm someone who's like, if I saw an opportunity to flip something that I got for like 3x the value that I paid for it, I'm going to do it. I don't care how much I care about that thing. I'll wait, I'll flip it, and then I'll wait for it to go down in price and I'll get it again. You know, like unless it doesn't go down in price. If it goes up in price, then I'll have regret of not holding and selling at a higher price.
Oh my goodness. See, and I like the collecting. I like having the items and I like having the ability to build up this type of collection. But I want to kind of pivot this because the whole topic that we're getting on and that we want to kind of drive home is that this idea of having passion outside of work can really help you with work. And I want to frame it in the idea of like if you're only passionate about work, if you're only passionate about what you're doing day to day during your week, and then you need to go home afterwards and you can't do anything for yourself, you don't have any hobbies, you're just scrolling on your phone, your work is going to suffer every
Mhm.
single time. If your only passion is work, I I worry, man. I'll be
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, I mean, like, I truly believe you should like you're working to live, you're not living to work, you know? And so
Mhm.
like if everything you care about is tied into what you're doing during those 40 to 50 hours you're working, then like what's the point? You know, once you're outside of that, that's when you're supposed to be enjoying the things that you work towards. So if like all of your passion goes towards that, then you almost feel empty afterwards. And that's not fair to yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's I found this specifically with our live stream. So we came into this with the idea of we're going to learn live streaming, we're going to figure out how this works. And personally, I got not burnt out, but I very much was like, "Oh, okay, I'm passionate. I'm figuring all of this stuff out." But it was for work and I wasn't really into it, and I found myself like, okay, I fell off the bandwagon. I stopped wanting to improve. I stopped wanting to kind of push this forward. And what really helped me is I brought it to my personal life. And so outside of what I do for work, I create YouTube videos and I make some stuff for myself. And that kind of passion, that interest, that hobby that I built for myself 100% translates to my understanding for work. And it helps me because I'm not sitting here, how do I improve our live stream? It's I've already have this information, I have this passion, and I'm able to kind of bring that information to the forefront over here.
Yeah, look at our podcast at the beginning. Like our first couple weeks, we were while we maybe tangented into like random things, like we weren't as open to talking about the things we care about outside of what the topic of the podcast was. And I felt like we were getting burnt out on it because we were like, okay, well, all we can talk about is, like your name, address, phone, having your nap across everything, things you should do as a small business, all of that. And it's like we weren't talking like we weren't letting ourselves talk about the things we wanted to talk about. And I think now you look at our topics that we do have, and it's much more how does D&D relate to like small businesses, what did we learn at improv class, and we're taking the things we care about and talking about them and finding ways to relate them to the topics we need to talk about. And I
Yeah.
think we care more about it, and I think our product is benefiting from that. I think
Yeah.
I think we were out to lunch yesterday and we were talking about it and we are like, man, some of the things we touch on, like if we get it in front of the right people, I think a lot of people would agree with us and we could potentially take off in this because I think we're more genuine because now we're talking about things we care about.
Yeah. Well, and it's getting comfortable. It's figuring out how we work together, figuring out our cadence, figuring out how we're going to approach this. And I mean, hell, the more authentic you can be, the more honest you can be, I think the better. And I that's where we're at. That's what we want to bring. Personally, I want to bring that to the forefront of,
Well,
hey,
I mean, you think about it, like we do a good rep podcast. We're doing this as good rep. Even when we're doing the Joey Matterhorn, we're doing it as the good rep boys. And we've always said the thing about good rep that separates us from everyone else is our transparency, our relatability, and our honesty. Like we're going to tell you what you're going to get. And so when we're on this podcast and we're being fake and we're talking about things just from a business standpoint, not from a personal
mhm,
standpoint, that's not being genuine. That's not being good rep. That's not being us.
yeah. And it's I mean, hell, everyone's got to find their niche. Everyone's got to find what works for them. And what's worked for us is blunt honesty of, hey, we're going to figure this out. Pick us up by the bootstraps. We'll figure these things out. And things change on the internet. How we search changes. How you show up online changes. How Google indexes your site changes. And so we need to be able to recognize and say, hey, I've been an expert for 10 years. I know how Google's worked for 10 years and I've figured it out consistently for 10 years every year. Do I know what they're going to be doing in 2026? No, no one knows what Google's going to do in 2026. Do I know that I have the experience and ability to figure it out? Yeah. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you, hey, we've done it. Here's our success. Here's what we've succeeded with. And I'm going to bring that same energy to you and your business. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really important where we're just, hey, bluntly honest.
That's a rare Freya appearance.
It is. She doesn't normally like to join us. She's doing a deep toe clean, apparently.
Yeah, and getting under the piggies. Like, it's funny. Loki loves the camera.
He
Loki's
does.
always on the camera. Oh, look at this phrase. See Loki right now. Is Loki coming into the room?
Actually, I'm pretty sure she is looking at him.
I was gonna say Loki's hearing us talk about him. Sorry, I got distracted by your cats.
No, dude, I get distracted
Cats
by
were
my
your
cats all
passion.
the
How
time.
do your cats affect your work life?
So, unironically, we were talking about passion here. One of my biggest passions in life are my cats. I am 100% the crazy millennial cat dad that like loves his cats too much. I will 100% get a black cat tattoo for her at some point in my life. Mainly because I have a bunch of random little tattoos on my legs and stuff like that. So I'm not going to get a
Yeah,
facial
she's earned
cat
her
tattoo.
place. She's earned her place in on your body forever.
Yeah, exactly. That is my child.
Oh man, you ready for the hot take clip of the year right now? 2026 hot take. Your pets are not your children.
Your pets are not. Whoa, brother. Hey, now that cat came out of me. Little did you know, right out of my stomach, I puked her up.
That's disturbing. That's
Isn't it?
that's a
It's really
disturbing
weird,
thing.
man. It's how millennials are. It's how we do. I love the cringe culture about like, oh, I'm a millennial. I have to end everything with LOL and my cats are my children. Like I kind of really hard lean into that. I've got a Harry Potter tattoo, man. Like I'll be real. I am as stereotypical as they come. And I kind of just wear it on my sleeve. And I
You
mean, hell, what you
you know
gonna
what's
do?
funny? You remember how like my first week at Xanadu, you called me out for dropping an XD in chat because I
Oh
say
yeah,
I use
yeah, yeah.
XD a lot. Like I was busy fighting fascists on the internet, and like I dropped an XD in there, and like that was what they chose to attack. They didn't attack any of the points I proved in the comments. They were like, "Oh my God, it's 2026. You're a full grown man dropping XD." And I was like, "So you just lost this argument?" You know?
XD.
It's like when
Jesus.
it's like when people decide. I know I've won an argument on the internet, which I shouldn't be having. I shouldn't be
No.
arguing with people on the internet. I recognize that. I hate that in myself. I do it. I know I win the arguments as soon as they talk about my hairline. You know, the moment that becomes the argument, I'm like, oh, you ran out of shit to say.
Oh my gosh. So, anyways, Jordan is out there rage baiting people in the comments. If you are getting
Fascists.
rage baited in good
Fascists. They're
rep
not
comments,
people, they're fascists.
Jesus. All right, all right, all right.
Oh
I
man,
wanna
I'm
I
gonna
wanna
get real
highlight this
political
comment before we
recently.
get too far down because I do think that this is a good one. Um, really curious about this one, but do you think stepping outside your routine can ever backfire, or is it always beneficial? You want
Yes, I do think it can. Um like almost in a way of like throwing off your routine. You know, like when you step out, like humans are creatures of habit. So like if you do like I think maybe one step outside isn't a big deal, but then once you kind of like throw a wrench into your routine regularly, once the routine no longer can be the routine because you've thrown something into it, it's going to take a bit of overcoming that or adapting to that, and that can negatively affect you. Now, depending on what it is that you're doing, maybe in the long run it may be a positive, but for a temporary time, being out of sync, being out of your rhythm, obviously isn't going to be a good thing. You're probably going to suffer at least in a short period of time, or at least
Yeah.
how I view it.
And see, I would argue the opposite, where those are instances where you're setting yourself up to be challenged. So if you're going to do something new, if you're going to A B test something, one option is going to be worst. If you're adding a new habit to your daily routine, it might throw off your routine, but you're trying something new. And I would argue that trying something new or adding something new is almost 100% of the time, even probably 100% of the time, beneficial because you're trying something new.
Yeah.
Stagnation, I think, is a killer. I I say consistency, and consistency goes hand in hand with stagnation. I think that's the next step of consistency for us. We've been preaching consistency on this podcast. Be consistent. Figure out how to do something every single day, every single week.
You
Make it happen.
you preached consistency at improv yesterday.
Well,
I heard it.
exactly.
Don't think I didn't hear
Consistency
it.
is
Don't think I didn't hear it.
100%. I'm getting out there. I'm coming up with my personal philosophy. Well, you know what? The next level of that consistency is stagnation. If you're doing the same exact thing every single day in the exact same way because it's easy and it's a habit and you're not improving, you're stagnating and that's going to cause difficulties. I think this is really obvious to our generation when you start looking at YouTubers and things like that where if they don't evolve their content, if all they did was one trick the same type of content over and over and over and over again, there was no update, no change, no try for anything else, it grows old. And
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of those YouTubers anymore.
What do they say? Adapt or die.
Adapt or
Like,
die. And so would you agree that though? So
yeah.
consistency, like
So
step two would be stagnation. Like
yeah.
I'm
Oh, absolutely. Like, so I catch that being an issue for me a lot. Like,
okay.
I'm someone who really doesn't like change a whole lot. Like I accept it when it happens, but I don't like it. And so I do find myself getting very complacent. Like, there's like consistency and complacency are two sides of the same coin. I feel, and like, but they're not good. Like one side is bad versus one side that is good, and like it's a tough one to get yourself out of when you convince yourself that it's where you need to be, and so something that I have found myself like trying to work out is like the moment you recognize that like change needs to happen, that's when you need to kind of start imparting it, which I know we have also, like, literally yesterday we were at lunch with a friend who, like, we had said like the opposite of that, where it's like we need time to build up to make a change, but it's like I do think you need to at least start putting it in motion the moment you recognize it you
Yeah.
know
It's important that you take that first step. It's important that you begin and then make that type of like consistent habit. I I keep drawing parallels to staircases. You take that first step up the staircase, great. And if you're just going to walk at that same level forever, great. But you took one step, you didn't get that much higher. You need to take another step. So get that consistency down, but take another step.
Instead of a staircase, think about it like a treadmill. All right, you take
Yeah.
that first step, and if you don't take another step, you're going to get launched off the back of it. you know
Yeah. You're going to get launched off the. I like that actually. That's great. Okay, okay. Another comment here. How do you balance trying new things with staying focused on your job responsibilities?
That's the tough one. That is the tough
Yeah.
one, because again, like I've already said and have always said, I'm not a big fan of change. So
Mhm.
like I do struggle to implement it, at least into like the workplace. I found myself being I'm not going to change things until my manager tells me to change things, and
Yeah.
you do a good job of keeping me on it, and I fight it sometimes. I try not to be bad about it, but sometimes I do, and it's a hard adaptation to make.
Yeah. And I'll be honest. So for me, you pointed to me and I think that's a really good parallel to draw because it is a different responsibility. It is my responsibility. It is the manager, the owner of the company, whatever, whoever's higher up of the company to come up with that strategy and idea of, hey, I want to try something different. You're leading that high level of like, okay, we're using this current program for live streaming. Let's check out this other program. We're using this program for this. We're using this software for this. We're doing something this way. What if we did it a different way? And you're kind of asking questions. To me, it started when I first started doing this, it felt like I was throwing wrenches. Like
Yeah.
all I'm doing is causing problems. But you have to disavow yourself of that notion and you have to get over it and just start doing it because you need to have answers. You need to try new ways. And like you said, Jordan, it's humans build habits. We
Yeah.
don't want to do things differently. We once we have a way, we know it works, we know how it functions. We are creatures of habit. And so flipping that up, mixing that up, not everyone's really good at that. A good manager, I feel like, is good at doing that, and that's a skill set I'm definitely working on. Is like how to poke people, how to give new ideas, and like work on those new ideas in a good way.
Yeah. So you're a self-proclaimed. We talked about it earlier today, in a chat. You call yourself a middle manager, whereas I
Ah,
view
yeah,
you as a manager because obviously you're not in the middle for me. You're right above me.
yeah,
So, but like as from a stance of middle management where you deal with people under you as well as people over top of
Mhm.
you, when you feel like a change needs to happen, do you find it easier now to give it, like, to tell the change to the people who are doing the work and that like actually have to be affected by it, or is it harder to tell the person above, hey, this is
Yeah, so
working,
like,
but now we're going to change some things up a little bit?
yeah, it's like if we're gonna implement like a new service or we're gonna try something new. I in a company setting, when you are setting up your structure, you need to enable everyone in the company to do their job to the best of their ability. The more blockers, the more reliant people have to be on others, the worse things are. And so one of the biggest issues with middle managers, and just to like clarify context here, if you're talking about a middle manager, you're talking like owner, manager, employees. I'm right here where owner is above me and employees are below me. So he's up here talking about, I want to start 12 new lawn care companies. And he tells me that. And I'm like, hey, so you want to create 12 more lawn care companies? How do we do that? Because if I go to my team right now and I'm like, hey, we're going to create 12 new lawn care companies, get started, that doesn't do anything. We're not able to get started. That doesn't give them context. That doesn't give us steps. That's not an actionable plan for us. And so, what I tend to do is like interpret those orders from above and give them to everyone down below. What helps and what I've recently been set up to do is I've been given the power to just kind of unilaterally make changes to organization and structure. And in being able to do that, it is a lot easier to go to employees like you guys and be like, hey, so we've been doing it this way for a while. What's a better way? Here, let's try this. Let's try this. I'm down to try it. Now let's write down how we're doing it. We're going to do it this way. And then I just bring it to the top and I'm like, hey, here's this doc. We're going to make a website this way every single time. If you have a question, here's the doc.
Do
And that
you
makes my life a lot easier.
I was gonna say, how much more comfortable do you feel like from where it started to where you are now? Like how much more confident do you feel in going to both sides of that, the people above and the
Dude,
people below?
yeah. So I feel so much more confident. I'll be real. And it is, we had that conversation a couple of weeks back where we talked about optimism and pessimism. Um, if you haven't, go back and check out that live because it was a really good one. Um, and we kind of concluded with the idea of like, oh shit, maybe Cody, I'm a little bit more of an optimist than I realized. And I'll be real, I think being in this management position has probably helped with that. Not in a it's helped my anxiety in any way. I'm anxious about a whole lot more stuff in regards to work, but much more in my ability to, okay, I am dealing with problems 24/7. Like even today, you message me and you're like, here's a problem. It's not like world ending, but you're not going to be happy. And it's like, okay, bet. Like it is my job to solve that.
What level of panic did you have when I sent that? I was
Well,
like,
and
I
that's
want to send this in a way that doesn't panic him, but it is also kind of like, hey, 911, we do need to figure this out.
Well,
You know?
exactly. And so in that scenario, I'm getting better. One of the skill sets that me as manager needs to be better at is not panicking. I
Yeah.
need to be the person who comes in and is like, okay, you've brought me an issue. Here's the worst case scenario. Okay, I'm going to step in and do it. So there, period, we have a solve.
Yeah.
Now, let's make a better solve. Let's come up with an ABC before we hit that D. But like we made a D, period. And I'm
Yeah.
getting a lot better
Well,
at, hey, solve, now solve it better. And I think that's a really good mindset to go into a problem with. And that skill set, the ability to come in and be like, okay, don't freak out, don't be anxious, we will solve this. What do we need to do? Like what is the worst case scenario? Because when you brought that to me, like my thought process, for those of you who are curious, context here, we're going to go do a video shoot. The talent for the video shoot canceled on us and we're trying to find new talent. So get that message, I'm like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to find new talent? Well, worst possible case scenario, we have to cancel. We don't want to do that. So, second worst case scenario, I'll go out there and be the talent. Boom. Now we have a solve. We have a minimum. We have a worst case. Now, what can we do? Can we find other talent? Who can we reach out to? Is there last minute anything that we can work out? And so, having that initial fix, that's a skill set I think you build up over time.
yeah. I agree. I find it's so funny. Like I feel like a walking oxymoron because like I am like anxiety riddled. You know, like I get very anxious very easily about a lot of things, but
Mm,
also like I am very like what's gonna happen is gonna happen. You
yeah.
know, and like it feels so like those two worlds can't exist together, but yet that is who I am. You know, like there will be like a random thing that like will like I had an anxiety attack. It wasn't a full on
Mhm.
anxiety attack, but like I had a moment where my mom sent me. I told you about this. She sent me like this word game she was playing
Mhm.
with no context behind it. She was like halfway through the game and she screenshot it on her phone and sent it to me. And then I was just like, never send me this again. like I'm like panicking. Like I don't know what this is, and it just spiked my anxiety. Like
Yeah.
little stupid things like that. But then something like, oh, we don't have talent for a shoot literally less than 24 hours from now. I'm like, we'll figure it out. You know, and it's just like, what am I? How do I function as a human?
Well, and I'm honestly talking about it, figuring out that shit is part of the human condition, man. Like we are walking contradictions at the end of the day. I we talk about remember, I'm gonna bring this back real quick. Why pursuing passions outside of work helps you at work, why your passions help you improve your focus and confidence. Those passions are real. They are actual things that you're interested in. When you're anxious about things outside of work, those come into work too. And
Yeah.
I know so there's two different types of anxieties, and I'm curious if you can agree on this or not. There's the anxiety of like, oh, something might go wrong in the future, and it's very nebulous. Like, I have anxiety that my cats are gonna get sick and grow old. Like, I have that type of anxiety, and there's nothing for me to really do about that other than calm my body. And then there's the anxiety about like, okay, we have a shoot tomorrow. I need to find someone. I I need to figure out my taxes. Like, there is time sensitive anxiety. And do you find that you have a different reaction to those two types?
Yeah, I kind of think I do. I think like the more like physical things are like the things that I care a little less about, you know? Like
Mhm.
those are the things that are very what's going to happen is going to happen. I'll tackle it when I get to it versus like the feeling the mental anxieties of like am I doing things right? You know, could I be doing things better? Those are like totally different because like I think I'm good at like breaking up things that are out of my control versus things that are in my control. You know, and like that's when I start finding like anxiety. It's like when I feel like it's something that I am doing that is causing my anxiety. Like yesterday, I shouldn't talk about this because I don't know that I'm planning on paying for it. But like I was worried when we were at lunch. Like I was like, fuck, I parked somewhere I didn't pay for the parking spot. Should I like am I going to get a ticket for it. Like that sucks. Oh no, I might get a ticket. Then I go out there and I have a ticket, and like now I'm like, whatever, you know, like I don't care. But like that feeling of like, did I screw up? Got to me. Like I was worried about it. Then after it's all said and done, and like I did screw up, and I have the ticket for it. Now it's like whatever's gonna happen with it, you know. But now I'm having that little anxiety of what happens if I don't pay that ticket? Like, am I going to get in trouble for it? But then, like, once I get in the trouble for it, then I won't be as panicked about it, you know?
It's the panic response in humans is absolutely crazy. And
Sam,
I'll be real.
do not clip me talking about this. I actually delete it from the video.
Oh my gosh, did you hear that sound?
No.
That was crazy.
Yo, yesterday I was sitting right here, and I think I got these massive icicles out my window right here, and I think that they were attached to my. There were some of them dripping off of my air conditioner, and I think they all broke and fell off, and my entire air conditioner like went like that. And
Oh my gosh.
I thought my air conditioner was falling out of the wall.
See, that's terrifying. And I'll be real, nope. Never in a million years. Those like wall units scare the absolute
What am I
ever
gonna do?
loving
Tear it
crud out of
out?
me.
Am I gonna rip it out of my apartment? like, also, I would die in the winter or in the summer. I run that thing all summer.
I mean, that's fair. Does it do well for you?
Does good in my room. Doesn't do great out in the living room.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. See,
Doesn't matter. We don't need to talk about that. This isn't the topic. This isn't the podcast
I'm
topic.
like, we're bringing it back. Okay.
My passion towards air conditioner wall units.
Damn. Okay, so what do you do? What you do after work affects your success at work. Do you think that outside work affects work? I just talked about this. I just said yes. So, do
So
you
for me, it's
personally
like,
feel
I
like
mean, it
outside of work
depends
affects?
on what you're doing. You know, situations are situational. You know, like going and playing Magic the Gathering after work probably doesn't have as much impact as probably going and working out. You know, like it, everything's going to be a little different, and so like I'm always careful to blanket it as like, yeah, that's true or that's false. Um, I think I think ultimately doing something that is going to put you in a positive mindset is ultimately what's going to help you in your work life.
Yeah. I will say there are two different types of activities that I think can have a big impact on people. And there are the mentally draining activities and then like the mental recharge activities. And so, for example, when we work long days here, and so when I get out of my 10-hour long workday where I've had, client shoots, I've been on and off the phones, we've done live streams, I've gone back and forth through the team, we've done a bunch of projects, whatever it might be, and I clock out and I eat, I need to sit and decompress. I am so mentally drained at the end of the day sometimes that I 100% don't have it in me to pursue a passion. So for example, I record a YouTube video every single day. I do it in the morning because if I don't do it in the morning, I will 100% not do it at night because after work I'm very very tired. And so what this impacts is recognizing one, work impacts outside of work. You will be tired and it affects outside of work. Now similarly, if I had improv class out after work, we finished at 7 and went to improv class 8 to 10 at night or something like that, I promise you I would be so dead tired the next day. It would be awful. I don't think I could do that. Do you think you could do an improv class after clocking out for work?
Yeah, but like I'm different than you.
Well,
Like
yeah.
I'm someone who it's like most of my stuff I do better after work. You know, like I maybe not specifically after work, but in like later hours of the day. So like I mean, you go home from improv and you go to bed. You know, I go
I
home from improv and I get excited because there's a new Night of the Seven Kingdoms out. You know, like we are not the
uh,
same.
we are 100% not the same. Well, and
You know,
it's different lifestyles, different ways of going about, sleep and all of that as well. I 100% got home from our improv class last night at like 8:45 ish.
yeah.
I washed my face, I did my like nightly routine, and I was in bed by 9. And I like watched YouTube for probably 15-20 minutes and then went to sleep. Like I was asleep by 9:30.
Yeah, yeah. I had to stay up until 10 because that's when the show came out.
Which
You know,
new episode is good? Don't spoil.
new episode was good. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but like it was still good.
Interesting. Okay. But with that said, when you're outside of work and you're taking that time to like recharge, do you do anything particular for recharging? Like, is there anything where you're like, okay, I need to get ready for a big day tomorrow, so I'm going to make sure that I do this tonight?
I I try and do things like in the realm of like the same like I try to prepare myself by doing things similar to whatever it is that I have planned to do. Like before improv classes on Sunday, like I tend to spend my Sunday mornings watching improv stuff,
Mhm.
or like the night before, like, go to bed watching Game Changers or something like that. Um I try to do things that align my headspace with whatever it is that I'm going to do. Um less physical like action, more mental. I also, I'll try to like take a shower before whatever I'm going to do. Like even if like I've already showered that day, like I'll try and like, if it's like I need to clear my brain for whatever I need to focus on, a shower before, turn it cold right before the end of it, and just really like reset myself to step out. That's kind of one of the things I like to do. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's about it.
I think it comes to like I hesitate to say ritualistic aspect or like the habit forming aspects of things. But for me, I know Sundays before going into the work week, I like to shower. I take a really nice warm shower. I do like a full body go over. If you're, I don't care, guy, girl, if you're out there, spend some time like take an hour to shave really nicely and pluck your hairs and like make yourself look really nice. Get yourself a nice like face mask or something to like wash your face and skin. Building up those type of habits on a Sunday before work is very, for me, ritualistic. Like it makes me feel like I'm prepping for my day, makes me feel like I'm really prepping for like the live shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It strikes me as the same vein of like getting dressed up for work from home. Like if you're going to be work from home, putting on a pair of jeans uh, is great, better than sweats. But if you're putting on a pair of slacks and a button up, you're going to probably lock in a little bit harder, even if you are work from home. And that's in the same vein for me. Which I mean, I think I'm a little bit weird if I'm honest.
Yeah. I think that kind of actually goes into one of Melanie's questions a little bit down there.
Oh, which one?
Like that, which I mean, the follow up to that is just kind of a follow up on that same question. But if you could go back, what non work activity would you guys start sooner for professional growth? Um, I think checklists were a big one for me. That like I knew it was something that would help me, but it wasn't something I implemented as much.
Mhm.
If, like as far as professional growth, I think would be something that I would definitely dive into. But outside, I know we're talking outside passions and how that applies. Uh, Physical health is a big one. I think that like, I just have more energy in the work week after I, lost a lot of weight and, try and get out there and I take walks regularly. Like even in this cold weather, I walk to Meyer just like, when I could just drive right around the corner to it. I still walk to it because it's just right there and it's nice to get out. And, like little things like that kind of give you a little bit more life in
Yeah.
the work week.
It's it's really hard to say this and get the point across because everyone says it. It's true. I feel like in my 20s, I remember people telling me this and I'm laughed at them. Um, Humans are just plants. Go get sun, feed yourself, and realistically, unironically, positive affirmations. You've got this. Stop talking negatively about yourself. I One of my biggest things, and Jordan, I don't know if I ever got you on this because I don't think you do it very often, but I hate self-deprecating jokes. I was one of those people
I'm
who
pretty
would
bad
make
at it.
well, and I don't think you make them around me, and it might be purely because I call you out on it
Yeah.
if I do hear one. And I'm like, don't say that about my friend, because that's what I'll say when I hear them. Is like, don't talk about my friend like that. That's rude, and it's funny and comedic. But uh, I used to be the worst at self-deprecating jokes, and when you talk about yourself like that, even when you're joking, it is really easy just to like nail that habit home of like, oh yeah, ha ha ha, I'm a piece of shit. Joke, ha ha ha, I'm a
See,
piece of shit.
I think my humor is so rooted in sarcasm that like I don't do a lot of self-deprecating jokes because I do like a faux confidence is my humor. I pretend like I'm the best at everything when deep down in my inner psyche I'm like you are the worst at everything. But it's really funny to go opposite of that and be like nobody can match me on that shit, like
Fair, fair. And see, I mean, everyone's different. Everyone has their different types of humor. But in that same instance, when we talk about non-work related activity, would you guys start right now? Implement some type of routine, whether it's weekly or daily for yourself. Jordan's mentioned it a million times. When you wake up, make your bed. That's really easy. That's not professional growth or anything right there. But I promise you, if you wake up every day and you make it a habit to make your bed, things will get better. Is it going to be 10 feet jump into the air better? No, it's going to be an inch off the floor. You just hit a little lip, but you're doing slightly better than you were before. Now, stack those habits. When you make that habit of making your bed in the morning, now, as soon as you're finished making your bed, go wash your face off, splash your face with
yeah.
some cold water.
Or
Like,
like, or if you need it to be something kind of tied to that bed, you maybe make your bed and that the little end table next to your bed is really cluttered. Guess what? Now that's the next step. Clear that off.
yep,
Like make it so like that one positive thing you did isn't being hampered by something else or hindered by something else. And like, you can continue, like you said, habit stack it. fix one thing. If there's something that's making that not as good as it could be, then fix that thing. And then like little things, everything ties together. If you have a dirty room but a really nice bed, you're going to want to clean the rest of the room.
Yep.
Like that's just kind of how that works.
Yeah. And it can be really easy to let bad habits stack. I know maybe this is a little bit TMI, but I was really difficult it was really difficult for me at one point to clean up my room, and I was bad with dishes. So I would eat fast food and I would have like a trash bag full of just fast food, and it would be
Mm-hmm.
sitting in my apartment room, like my bedroom. And that's just not good. It
No.
it was in a trash bag. I didn't have bugs or anything like that. It was fine. But when you just have a big trash bag with no, it wasn't in a container, it was just a trash bag. It was just kind of sitting out. It didn't look nice. Your environment really does reflect your inner self, and that's not the inner self that I want, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, like I I'm still not the best at keeping everything super organized. I still have clutter around, but like I hit a point where I don't know if I'd call it rock bottom, but like it would get to the point where like I would have so many dishes in the sink that maybe there would be a few bugs. And then like that was like I can't live like this anymore.
Mhm.
And like I was bad about it, but then like eventually I lived with someone else who also kind of was just as bad as I was. And that put me on like a how do you live like this? And then I was like, oh shit, how do I live like this? And like that was such a big step for me, as like being like, okay, now I'm seeing what other people see in me and someone else. I'm going to fix that. And so now I'm still not great at doing all my dishes right away. They might start to pile up, but they don't get to the point where like all of a sudden I got gnats flying
where
around
you
or
can't
anything
use
like
your
that.
sink.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
See?
sometimes it gets there, sometimes it does, and that's when I load the dishwasher.
Which, I mean, hey, everyone's got their own things, and it's worth noting. I described that scene for myself. I've definitely dealt with depression and anxiety and like feeling low, especially in winter time. I've talked about it a number of times on the pod where it's like, hey, Michigan winter, Midwest winter, the big SAD, it's not great out here. And
Mhm.
so it is really easy to end up in a situation. My struggle, thankfully, used to be dishes, and I'm a lot better at that now. And I'll be real, I make a very conscious effort to do the dishes, and so
Yeah.
dishes are like my thing. I don't even let Cassidy do dishes anymore. I do
Mhm.
all of them if I can because I make it my thing. Her thing is laundry. She's awful at putting laundry away. She
Yeah.
hates it so much.
So,
Um,
sorry,
so
finish your thought.
something to be working on.
I I found like little ways to kind of kickstart like bettering myself or like cleaning things. Like if I sit here by myself, I live alone, like I don't have people over very often. And but like when people are coming, that's when I'm like I can't let them see the dishes like that. And stuff like that. So, my friends like Gary and the videographer who's coming through, it's like I would invite him over all the time and be like, "Hey, come through," just so that like when he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll come over," then it's like, "Oh, I got to get to this. I got to go clean this all up." And so like it was funny. It was like I almost used my friends to better myself. It
Which I
was
mean, hey, that's what
like
friends are there for at the end. And honestly, if it gets you to do the thing,
I
hell
mean,
yeah.
and it's in the same vein as like we've talked about, where it's like you tell Eric like, oh, I want to like I'm planning on doing this many videos for my channel and stuff, and you do that so that he will hold you responsible. Now, my friends aren't going to come over and be like, hey, dude, your apartment's fucking gross, but like in my mind they are, and that's what gets me up and doing it.
Well, it's worth noting, especially like human embarrassment is real. If you're embarrassed to show things off, or if you're, embarrassed or ashamed of certain things, it can be really difficult. And so, for example, I want to tell a story here.
Yeah.
With Michigan winter, this past couple of weeks, we've had a lot of snow. And so I drive a really shitty 2007 Chevy Impala with like 230,000 miles on it. Um, well, my partner drives a nicer car. Her battery died while she was out and about, and my car is really shitty during a snowstorm. So I drove to try and get like help her out, and I was not able to help her. My car couldn't jump her car wasn't able to get started. We ended up having to tow it, and just driving around in my car was anxiety inducing. And so we got back from that night. Everything went fine. We solved the problem at the end of the day. But I felt such immense shame because my vehicle was just shitty in the weather, and I couldn't be as helpful as I wanted to be in that moment.
Yeah.
And I'll be real, that shame, like that immense amount of like not being able to step up and be there in that moment was like, okay, well, I'm going to figure out a new car this year. So this is the year of Cody's going to get a new car or figure something out.
Yeah. Uh Kelly, or sorry, not Kelly. Emily said in the chat, shame is such a great motivator. A lot of my work week, bringing it back to kind of like how it applies to work, some of my best work weeks immediately follow a bad work week. And I'm not trying to intentionally have a bad work week to have a good one, but like normally it comes like on like a Friday, like I'll realize like, man, like I did not do as much as I should have. Cody's asking questions, trying to figure out where things are, and I don't have good answers for it right now. And then like that makes me hit Monday running because it's like I can't do that 2 weeks in a row,
Yeah.
you know?
Which, I mean, hey, that's one way of going about things. I will say, as management, they can kind of suck for me
I
because
know,
I
and
don't.
but that like, and even hearing you say that is me recognizing like that's why I need to have those good weeks,
Yeah,
and that's why those good weeks need to be twice as good as that was bad, you
yeah.
know.
Well, and it's difficult because if you are a manager and if you're a small business owner and you have employees and stuff like that, it's really difficult to, at least for me, and this is something I'm learning, where it's like I don't want to shame people. I don't want to be like, "Oh, you didn't get this done. What happened? What's going on?" I don't want to make people feel guilty and shame. But also, like, yeah, some people fail and they step down, and you need to be blunt, and it's better for everyone on the team when you do acknowledge, "Okay, hey, that wasn't good enough. I need more." It is helpful, and it can be beneficial even to the person who's being told, hey, because it helps kind of pull that bar up, I feel.
Yeah,
Which I don't think I've done anything too terrible, like anything like that, have I?
there was last week in one of our 10 a.m. calls where you kind of went a little off on somebody who admittedly needed to be doing a little bit better, and like me and Sam both were kind of like, oh well, this is fun to each other right now while it was going on, and it is a little like off-putting a little bit here and that, but also like I was very much in the camp of like, yeah, you need to tell this guy to get his stuff together, like,
Yeah.
but there's a time and a place and a level to do it and everything like that, and that's all things that you kind of work into because you haven't there's only been one other time outside of that where like you've ever had to like really put the law down on an employee, and
Yeah.
that's just things you learn.
Yeah, learning over time, and it is really difficult because if you're not going to, like, if your manager is not going to sit there and be like, "Hey, I need more, do this," you're going to be holding your own reins, your own leash, and if you're not letting yourself learn, grow, and advance, you're doing the stagnation thing. And I feel like that's one of the skill sets. That's one of the things that everyone needs to build up, and is one of my skill sets that I'm working on the most. Self motivation, being able to get things going. I want to highlight this comment that Mel made a little bit earlier. Still, I can admit it's incredibly hard to not be self critical because, like anything else, negative self talk becomes a habit over time. 100% truth. Um, when Cassidy and I first started dating, she would make a joke of, she would say something along the lines of like, "Oh, I'm just so dumb," or "I'm just an airhead," or "I'm just ditzy." And I'm like, "No, we're not going to do that."
Hmm.
Because if you're going to sit there and say that you're airheaded, then you're going to start to believe that you're airheaded, and I don't want you to believe that you're airheaded. I don't
Right.
want you to sit with that either excuse or with that like qualifier when you're not. She works in
Yeah.
healthcare. She's an X-ray tech. She's not an airhead. If she were, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But
Right. And well, it's just like you allow yourself like nobody wants to be so like how do I want to put it? Like when you put yourself on a pedestal, it becomes really easy to be like, oh, I'm just putting myself there because it's me. Whereas when you tear yourself down, it's a little bit easier to be like, okay, like this is at least fair because I'm allowed to be critical of myself. And then in that moment, you open the door to allow yourself to keep compounding that. And that's really unhealthy. Whereas, like, when you try and be like, oh, here's all the things I'm doing really good, it almost feels like you're the only one recognizing your own accomplishment there. And so it's not the same as having someone else do it, so it's a little bit easier to accept self negativity as truth than it is like self positivity is truth, because like it feels like you're just kind of fluffing, like airing your own tires there versus someone else doing it for you.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like as a culture, humans in general are not really good at praising
Yeah.
ourselves. I think I've noticed it in improv because in improv we're really good at praising each other and being like, "Hey, let's call out the good things that we enjoy from each other's performances and things like that."
But then we're
In the
all
day to
also very critical of our own performances up there.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I'll be real, if you listen to everyone talk about their own performances, they're generally like,
I
"Oh,
could have done
maybe this
better.
felt good, but like, oh, I didn't like this. This is something that."
And the instructor said we were going to feel like that. That was one of the very first things he told us in the very first course is like, you're going to leave here and you're going to be like, dang, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. And it's like, it's so true. It's so true. Each week I leave and like I message you after every class and we kind of talk about like what we feel like we could have done better and everything. And like hearing you be like no, I was a little too topical. I made a couple Trump jokes. I made a nice joke. I made an Epstein Island joke. And like I was like, man, I feel like I was diving too into that and nobody wanted to hear that. And you were like, I specifically told you I don't want to hear that and still think you did good.
Yeah.
And I was like, that does mean a lot. Hearing someone else tell you that you're wrong to feel the way you feel does do a lot.
I mean, at least when your feeling
Because I'm
is
negative.
negative.
Because I'm
I was
negative.
like,
Yeah.
"You're not supposed to be happy right now, Jordan. How fucking dare you?"
But that would also
Sadness.
probably do a lot. There would still probably be a lot of impact from that nonetheless.
Your words do have a lot of impact. That is 100% true. But with all that said, I want to kind of tie a bow on this. How to make all of this practical. We're talking about getting in better at work, improving your work self, improving your mindset surrounding work. And if I'm being honest, you get better at work by taking better care of yourself. Take care of your mental, take care of your physical, work out, eat better, drink more water, spend time on some brain games, actually go do the Wordle. Unironically, like doing little
Don't
brain
send it
games
to
like
me
the
though.
Wordle. What's that?
Because don't send it to me though. I'll have a panic attack.
Yeah, don't send Jordan any word games apparently. But
Apparently,
uh,
no. Listen. No, finish your thought. Finish your thought. I don't need a tangent on that.
do some games, do some brain teasers, spend some time working on your brain plasticity because it is very important. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, listen, if you want to send me an empty Wordle where you haven't gone through half of it, if you send me like a Wordle where you have done two guesses and you haven't gotten a single green box, and you're like, help me with this, I'm running out of options, I'm gonna panic. Because like I don't know where to go from there. All right. But if you're like, hey, here's three green letters and one yellow, I'll help you. That's easy.
If you
Listen,
got three greens and one yellow and you can't figure it out, you should
I
probably
find
check
it
it.
hilarious. My mom sent me this game that's called like Contexto. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but
Mm.
like ironically sent me it with no context whatsoever as to what the game was, how it's played. Apparently, you get unlimited guesses, and you're like it tells you how close you are to the right word. She sent me 20 words, like a list of words, didn't tell me what it was, and was like, help. And I'm like, with what?
This is amazing. See, and that's maybe more so your mom with context and having a little bit of difficulty.
Yeah.
But
I felt so bad because like I told her, I was like, this legitimately made me anxious. And she was like, I am so sorry. Like I won't do that again. And I was like, I feel like I exploded on mom over her just being like, hey, help me with the word game. game, and I was just like,
Maybe a little bit tightly wound at that moment. Maybe you were having a little bit of a moment. I want to
yeah.
highlight Melanie's last two comments as we get time. Sometimes when I'm being positive, it feels weird, like I'm being cocky by cheering myself on, but I only have my view of myself, not when others do it. 100% it can feel super weird.
I mean,
Go
I
ahead.
think that's exactly kind of what I was talking about how like it's so much easier to be negative on yourself because you feel like it's more justified than when you're being positive about yourself. Because it's not really your place to be like, "Oh, look how good I'm doing," because like a lot of times when you do something good, you're doing it to be seen as doing something good, you know? Like that's kind of how we exist as humans. So it's a lot easier to be negative on yourself than it is to be positive on yourself, and I think that's just a human vibe that Melanie has there, you know?
Yeah. I will say for me myself, my simplest parallel, my easiest story to share is I I make jokes. I make dumb jokes, and I am my own biggest fan. I will, when I make dumb jokes, tell myself that I am funny. I am my biggest fan. I think that I'm hilarious. I only tell jokes, and I do it with the mindset. My bit, I turn it into a bit. This is a whole bit for me where I'm like, I'm my biggest fan. I'm funny. I wrote this joke for myself. If I can make myself laugh, that's good enough.
You
And
you
I
get that from you a lot. Like, you can definitely tell that there are times where you're like, "I don't care how other people think about this. I really like this joke that I'm making," or something like that, and I
yeah.
appreciate that. And I think I kinda do something similar, but I feel like I kinda got this like I addressed earlier, I have this, like, what's like hyperbolic hyperbole version of myself where like I pretend like I'm overly confident in things where
Mhm.
realistically I'm not, but like there is something positive to come from that because I do think sometimes that can bleed into how you really feel about yourself.
Exactly. Hey, gaslight yourself into the confidence. If you can fake confidence, say it with your chest. I want to tell one more story, and then I want to highlight Mel's final comment as we're getting to the end here. We were in an elevator with another couple, my partner and I, and we were talking about the pho place. We reviewed a pho place, and she was at pho for that battery dying, and we were like going back and forth in the elevator. Pho, pho. What? How do you say it? And
Like
one of the guy.
I'd say you're talking about like the conversation you're
Oh
having
yeah, yeah. No, we were
right?
we were having a conversation in the elevator. It is pho. It's worth noting, 100%. Um,
Yeah.
but we were in the elevator, and the guy with his full chest, he was like, "Oh, it's pronounced pho," and I was like, I'm pretty really nice. Okay, thank you. You spoke that with a lot of confidence. Like, proud of you. You're wrong. Like, I didn't call him wrong, but like,
Yeah.
we left that elevator, and I kind of looked at her, and she looked at me, and was like, "So he was wrong." And I was like, "Yeah, but he said it with his chest, and I kind
Yeah.
of respect it."
And he definitely is. I do want to say this. I think we've had one debate once where like I think one person said fa, and like
Yeah.
you're like it's fa, not fa, like with like almost like
Fuck.
with an H on the end of it. I do think that that's almost just kind of like a dialect kind of difference. Like that's not necessarily like faux is wrong. Faux
Fuck.
is wrong.
It's
But
so
like
whenever I
fa
see it,
versus
like,
fa, I think is kind of a little just almost like a little bit of like an accent on it
I mean, it
almost.
might be an accent thing. Whenever I see it phonetically, it's always fuh, fuh.
Yeah.
So like phonetically,
Yeah.
however. And then if you guys have any tips on taking compliments, let me know. You got any tips?
Yeah, so you're obviously you're critical of yourself. Nobody's more critical of you than you. So when someone else gives you a compliment, recognize that they're probably seeing something that you cannot see and that they wouldn't lie to you about that. You know, like accept it as truth. Like that is it. Like realize that you don't have a perfect perspective of yourself and that other people have outside perspectives and what they are saying is true.
Yeah. You and I think this is a lifelong thing. You don't get to tell other people how they feel or how they think. So if someone comes to you and says, "Ha ha ha, you're so funny," they mean it. They're saying it because they mean it. And unless they tell you, "Oh, I'm being mean and I didn't mean it," uh, they meant it. And so just accept things at face value. I think
Yeah.
we can, as humans, overthink, and life gets a lot easier when you just start accepting things at face value. And if they if they didn't mean it at face value, ask them what the context was and make it real awkward. With that said, when someone compliments you, never deny. Never
Yeah.
say, "Oh no," or "Oh something." Blah. Excuse. Never excuse. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it. Always say thank you. I appreciate that. Acknowledge the compliment, and I
And
think
like
that's
if
really
you
really
really have a hard time accepting their compliment, like maybe it's okay to be like, "Oh, thank you. Why do you feel that way?" Like
I
you
like
don't
that.
have to like that. Maybe in some circumstances may not be something that you should do, but like depending on the circumstance you find yourself in, be like, "Hey, like that means a lot that you'd say that. Can you kind of tell me why you feel that way?" And then once someone can explain that to you, you're going to rationalize it better in your own brain, and you're going to accept it a lot easier.
Yeah, and it's everyone's going to do it differently. Everyone's experiencing life differently. So being able to ask, get some context, have a conversation, I think more than anything else, you feel awkward because it doesn't happen very often. People are not generally very effusive with praise. Especially in Midwest, like we get the Midwest nice of, oh, your home is so lovely. Like, great. That's not really anything. Hey, I really like how you led that D&D session. I like that you did this specific thing. I like that you are welcoming to,
Yeah,
new
there,
students.
there's a lot of hollow compliments. Like I will admit that. Like I
Yeah.
say, like when someone compliments you, they're telling the truth, and I get that there are a lot of times where like compliments can be very hollow, where it's just like it's just the thing to do to compliment someone on something. But whenever someone gives you a specific compliment, that means that they gave it thought, and then that is definitely true.
Hmm. It's the overthinking it gets to you.
It does. It really.
Overthinking is the killer. It's
Mhm.
the Stallone Insidious killer. But all right, we're
Indeed.
way over. We're getting way over that time. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, if you're new here, like, comment, subscribe, get down there, tell the robots that you enjoy this type of content. Uh, My name's Cody. This is Jordan. We were joined on the Joey Matterhorn channel to talk about Good Rep Media and kind of how we help small businesses, help you with your mindset. If that's something that interests you, is I'm mixing up pitches here. Good Rep Media helps small businesses with their marketing, helps get customers in their door. That's something you need if you want to start a small business. If you're interested in being involved in that, we can always help you out. As is, tomorrow we're going to be having a special guest on the live show. We might even be having two. We might even be canceling it. We're not 100% sure yet, but we're going to be shooting at one of our clients. We're having an interesting shoot, and I'm really excited. But we had a little bit of a 911 emergency pop up. So we'll see what happens with the live show tomorrow. If it does go on, if we are in a good spot, we will be talking with our developer, James, about his experience at Good Rep over the past year. And it
We
should be a
won't
really
be.
good one. What?
We won't be.
Well, you won't be.
Yeah, no matter
Hopefully, I
what.
will.
Hey, we can say with 100% certainty, no matter what happens, I will not be here tomorrow.
That's fair. Jordan's gone. Jordan's actually gone forever. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't get to leave
I don't get
forever.
that lucky.
Never. But we will see you tomorrow. If we don't see you tomorrow, we'll see you next Monday on the Joey Matterhorn channel. And thanks so much for joining us.